Hello everyone, I'm Enrique and I'm your reviewer. Yeah, sorry for the new layout. It's not gonna be permanent because I'm in the middle of a transition period, so it's not going to be, consistent. But for the meantime, bear with me as I talk about my thoughts on a piece of news that has came out from Warner Brothers and Todd Phillips. It was announced by Todd Phillips that he was going to direct a new Joker movie with Joaquin Phoenix still in the role. And there's a lot of rumors about Lady Gaga being in talks to be in this movie, as well as being a musical. So there's a lot to talk about this movie. But instead of me reviewing the first Joker movie, or at least give my thoughts on Lady Gaga's casting or anything else, let me ask a simple but direct question. Is it really a good idea to direct a new Joker movie? Now, let me be clear. I love the first Joker movie. The one that Joaquin Phoenix did was amazing. Not only was also a $1 million record, but also an Academy Award winning with Joaquin Phoenix taking the Oscar as the best actor. It is regarded by many to be the best movie of Warner Brothers in a long time. It's regarded to be a great film by Todd Phillips and Joaquin Phoenix. And it was also regarded to be a great comic book movie. Now, let me clarify something. This is not exactly what I consider to be a comic book movie for a couple of reasons. While this movie took inspiration from other sources like The Killing Joke and other Joker stories involving Batman, I don't consider The Joker to be a comic book film. Part of it because I think it was trying to be more of an art house movie, more like those dramatic retellings about a man who goes insane, but using the layouts of the Joker to be, a Joker story, a comic book movie about the Joker, but not exactly be the Joker movie, or at least a comic book movie in my regard. It's pretty much that I consider to be pretty close to, say, Argo from Ben Affleck. It's pretty much a realistic story, but also trying to be more serious and more grounded. It's not trying to be anything like the other Batman films that, even though they won Oscars, still had to embody, a lot of realistic, fantastic, or even crazy, mind-blowing stories or even characters to tell said story. While stories like The Killing Joke can be told in a more realistic way, they still found a way to insert like comic book tropes and a lot of insanity that only comic book stories can bring. This Joker movie didn't seem to have like any of those things. Hell, it's not even a movie that many people will actually market it as, a comic book film. It doesn't even have that comic book things that you might assume will have in a comic book film, but the point is, it's not exactly a comic book film in my opinion. It feels more like a grounded, gritty, realistic way of a movie that maybe in close to the lines of Taxi Driver and, say, a Martin Scorsese film, any of those things. Hell, ironically, this movie took a lot of inspiration from Taxi Driver, but nonetheless. The thing about this movie is that it's very grounded and realistic that, to me, making a sequel doesn't seem, like a good idea. The thing about the Joker is that it ended the way it should have been, with Joker being celebrated, not knowing if that is the reality that happened to him, or if he was just insane, or even that the story about Batman was told in his eyes, or anything like that. But you get the idea. The Joker ended in an asylum, but still celebrated as an incredible revolutionary figure, but not knowing if it is reality or even in his mind. So when you're making a sequel about the Joker, you have to really, really think very hard in what you're doing. And while I do think that Todd Phillips have made an incredible movie, I still feel like he's going to compound that ending by making a sequel. Unless they do something like I'm going to mention right now, turn it into a musical. Now, with this movie being rumored to be a musical, you have to wonder how are you going to accomplish that? Especially considering that musicals are not exactly fan favorites for a lot of fans or even moviegoers alike. You can't put songs into scenes that emote emotions or tell you what's going on. It's pretty much like everybody says. A musical in a movie is radio with pictures, and it distracts the film rather than enforces the idea or advances the character. Pretty much what I feel about this movie when it turns into a musical is, how do you do that? How can you turn a movie that had a really realistic take on a character into a musical? How do you accomplish that? The question might be, if you incorporate the music in, say, for example, dream sequences, or maybe madness in your own head being portrayed as a musical with dance numbers and pretty much like singing and dancing and I don't know, kind of stuff that you see in musicals. Now, this could be interesting to see since the Joker in many other areas of the character is pretty much a showstopper. He likes to put on a show, whether it's for himself or for others, but mostly himself. The thing about the Joker is that he's pretty much a clown prince of crime who likes the spectacle, who likes the grand, the crazy, the macabre. Hell, in The Killing Joke, you can argue that he's putting a show to Jim Gordon in order to make him insane. And you can argue that the movie is going to accomplish that by making the Joker into a musical, at least the sequel, could be a way to show you the insanity of the situation, or making you go cuckoo, or making you disorganized or disoriented, or pretty much making you go insane with every single song that is in this film. So you can argue that maybe this could be interesting to see, since if you're going to incorporate the songs into insane music and making you feel more uncomfortable instead of making you question why the hell they put this song into this movie, then maybe it could work. But it's a very high risk, and I haven't seen Todd Phillips incorporate songs into his films, at least musicals, so it's a risk, and he has to really be careful how he selects his songs. I mean, unlike James Gunn, in which he actually selects his songs into his scenes, and even though they are not necessary, they still enforce or enhance the character's situation and the story itself. Like I said before, Lady Gaga is in talks to be in this movie. Now, a lot of people, fans alike, have pointed out that maybe Lady Gaga is going to play Harley Quinn. Now, for those who don't know or already know, then you already know who Harley Quinn is. But for those who don't, Harley Quinn is pretty much a psychiatrist chunk crazy by the Joker. So when you're trying to incorporate Harley Quinn into this film, you have to wonder, how is Lady Gaga going to play it out? You have to really take a look at Harley Quinn on her origin. She becomes a psychiatrist who went insane after falling in love with the Joker and decided to, follow him around and decided to become the henchwoman known as Harley Quinn, which the Joker sometimes mistreats her in order to get what he wants or because he was angry. So this is something that a lot of people have to really think about, because when you're incorporating Harley Quinn into a really realistic movie like this, you have to be very careful how you do it, because this is something that has not been done before, not even by Margot Robbie. Now, if you don't know anything about my Suicide Squad review, know this. I'm not a fan of Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn. I don't think she's good. I don't think she's memorable enough. I think she's just there for fan service. And the movies, in spite of the fact she's trying her best to be, crazy or psychotic or even entertaining, it fails miserably. And I'm the guy who likes the Suicide Squad movie, the second one that James Gunn directed. I feel like Harley Quinn in that movie was putting the whole movie into a hole, because all the parts about the Peacemaker and Bloodsport were more interesting than anything that Harley Quinn did. I'm just putting it like that. So when Lady Gaga, a woman who not only was known to be a pop singer but also an actress as well, who was very close to winning an Oscar in A Star is Born, then you have to really think about how you incorporate this version of Harley Quinn. She's playing her in this movie. So you have to wonder, how is Lady Gaga going to incorporate the psychiatrist who falls madly in love to this crazy ass man who just doesn't know where his reality lays down? Hell, the movie of this title is written in French, which I'm not going to say because I don't know how to pronounce it, but it basically translates to madness by two. It's a condition that exists, but it also probably signifies that Harley Quinn is going to be in this movie, and we'll see this version of the Joker and somehow finds this Joker to be a lost soul, and maybe this Joker will care about her, or maybe not. Maybe he thinks that this Harley Quinn or this woman that treats his condition will probably see him as a joke as well, and probably mistreats her, or things could be done with this scenario. But maybe this could be a possibility. And I don't know much about what the movie is going to bring, but if Lady Gaga is in, then I'm confident that she's going to do a good job. I saw her in other movies, so I'm pretty much sure that with the right direction, she might accomplish something that not even Margot Robbie was able to accomplish on her own, even in her own movie. But that brings me to, once again, what I think about making a sequel about this movie comes. Is it really a good idea to make a sequel about the Joker? I still think it's not a good idea, but maybe talking about this, the more I think about it, might change my mind a little bit, but I'm still unsure. The reason for that is, like I said before, it's a gritty 80s film. Well, taking place in modern times, but you get the idea. It's pretty much a depressive story about a man who goes insane, and despite many people in the past claiming that there's possibilities with this Joker, I still don't think it should be taken too much into account because, I don't know, it's hard for me to picture in my mind that Joaquin Phoenix says, oh, I want to make a sequel of this because this is a franchise. No, I don't want this movie to become a franchise to sell toys, because this version of the Joker should not be about that. It should be about a man who goes insane but doesn't know where his reality lays down. When you're making a sequel that has a musical with Lady Gaga, possibly as Harley Quinn, you really have to consider the steps you're taking. You cannot just say, this man just went to prison and that's it. You have to really take into accomplish what you're putting into this movie. The layout of everything. From the musical, from pretty much the gritty, realistic reality that he's living. And you have to be able to acknowledge what could be going wrong. Because there are scenarios like this that could go possibly wrong. Now, this video might be dated a little bit later, but it's a way to me to emphasize that there's pretty much a risk when you're taking this kind of steps, if the rumors are right. But you have to really take into consideration what you're putting in this type of sequel. Because remember, sequels are hard to make even more than the originals, because you're taking the idea and further it even more. So when I say that this idea of the Joker having a sequel is hard to make and it's pretty much going to fail if you botch in one area, then you probably will have a mess. Or it possibly will undo the movie for a lot of people. I am the most confident with Todd Phillips and Joaquin Phoenix and even Lady Gaga that they could pull off a good movie. But again, you have to take in consideration what your steps are. Hell, in the original ending from the Joker in 2019, had the Joker kill Bruce Wayne out cold and it was going to be shown by everywhere. But the movie was changed into the last minute in order to not make this too much depressive or to not try to piss off the Batman fans. But still, what I'm getting to that is that you have to be careful of what you're putting in your movies. Otherwise, people might receive this in a different way, in a wrong way. So, if Todd Phillips is watching this and he says, okay, maybe I should take this in consideration, or maybe it's okay, I got this, that's fine. It's what artists do. We try to do the best of our work and trying to make it the best we can. Hell, I do that every time I try to do a video for this channel, but my point stands. When we're directing a something, a movie, a TV show, you have to be careful what you're putting because it might be received in a different way. And a sequel to this Joker could be exactly that. So I have hopes, but again, I also try to walk very carefully because this could go wrong. God forgets this ever happens, but that's my opinion. But what are your thoughts on the sequel of the Joker? Do you think it's going to be a great film? Are you confident that it's going to be a great film, or do you find it a little bit worrying with this kind of news? If you can, leave your comments on the section below. And like I said, this is a transition period, so keep it posted and you'll find out a little bit more. But for now, I'm Enrique, and I'll see you next time.